Hi, loves. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is on the laws of love and how they are depicted in the universal love story and how they affect you. And right now we're going to just focus on the law of control and the law of sacrifice. So at first, these two laws seem like they could not be any more different. We have the law of sacrifice, which in its most enlightened way, it is all about really knowing and owning and declaring what it is that you want. It's really taking ownership of your desire and having the willingness to put the effort into having what it is that you want. And that is a very, very beautiful, beautiful thing. And on the other side, we have the law of sacrifice, where people who are more tuned in or influenced by the law of sacrifice, they're often just very giving people, very loving people. They're usually very other focused, and they're so good at reading the needs of other people. Now, a quick note before we move on, the laws of love are actually things that I want you to break. Yes, I am the owner of Love Renegades, and the laws of love are actually illusions that are really separating you from love. So as a love renegade, I want you to break the laws of love. And as an illusion dismantler, I want to guide you in really seeing how you are letting these illusions, these laws of love, influence you. And I want to help you dismantle these illusions so that you can have incredible relationships and enhance the relationships that you already have. So we've talked about the good things, the things that are enlightened, that we really can appreciate about the law of control and the law of sacrifice. Now, both of these things, the law of control, where it's like all about leadership and ownership and really going toward what it is that you want. And we have over here the law of sacrifice, which is usually, it's a little softer, it's a little more gentle, and it's very much about reading and being very, reading the emotions of others, being very in tune with other people's needs. Now, where things can get a little tricky and where the not so enlightened and the dysfunctional parts and what makes these the laws of love, where this comes in, and we'll talk about the law of control first, is the law of control, those amazing leadership abilities and this knowingness of what it is that you want. Well, what can happen there is it can tune into being very rigid and very like while it's a good thing to be laser focused and focused on what it is that you want, because we really do need to know like where we're headed. And when we have an intention or a knowing of what it is that we want, then we have something that we can focus on. It can help us put effort toward that. Like, that's a really good thing. Now, what happens with the law of control is that these people can get super focused on how things are supposed to look. They can be a little controlling as well. And they can start like bossing other people around, telling other people to do. I like to tell them, as you may have seen in Brittany's episode, The Law of Control, I like to let them know that they're micromanaging their entire experience. Because look, yes, you are a spiritual being. You are a divine being, and I love that you have an idea of what you want your relationship to be like you have an idea of what your dream relationship looks and feels like you've thought about this, like it's here, it's in your heart, it's in your mind's eye. And if you're currently in a relationship, I love that there are definitely ways you can see the relationship improving. This is really, really positive. Now, what I still love and what I feel is really blocking you is that you're totally micromanaging your experience. You want things to look a certain way, and there are certain things that you say you will never, ever do, and da 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 da, and all of this stuff. And it's like this very powerful assertion. These strong boundaries, and remember, boundaries are a beautiful thing. We'll talk about that in just a minute when we switch gears into the law of sacrifice. Boundaries are awesome, but these are boundaries to your detriment where you really cannot see anything, any opportunity that's right there because you're so set on how things need to be. I also, like, another like extreme example of this that I've used before and I've kind of laughed about, even though it's not really that funny, is, you know, that movie Sleeping with the Enemy? It came out in like the early 90s or late 80s. I wasn't allowed to watch that movie, but I remember my mom and her friends kind of talking about it. And then as an adult, I saw it on Lifetime and I watched it. And the guy had he had all of the canned, like a system for the canned food. And the system had to be followed or else he'd like freak out about it. Yeah. So that is like the law of control in the extreme where he can't see past his own way of doing things. And that kind of gets us into the law of absorption, which that's episode 5. We'll talk about that one a little later. But anyway, law of control people really need to open themselves up to possibility. And if you're a law of control person, it's really important that you kind of surrender and that you open yourself up to new ways of doing things, because even though you're really smart and you're successful, you don't know everything. You don't. And Brittany from episode 1 came to that conclusion on her own through her experience. So with the law of sacrifice, the not so great expression of that is that sometimes you can really lose sight of your own needs and wants and desires. Like, it's almost uncomfortable for you to connect with what it is that you want. And it is in strong contrast to the law of control person who knows exactly what it is that they want. Law of sacrifice people, it's so much more comfortable for you, if you're a law of sacrifice person, to do what the other person wants and to kind of make your whole identity and the whole quality of the relationship revolve around the other person. And that can work pretty well, but when it doesn't work is when the other person starts to not appreciate you for all of your sacrifice and all of your hard work. And that's because the other person has been trained to maybe not see your needs as well. And they may not also be as naturally intuitive about it as you are. And it can cause a lot of drama and a lot of unrest. And you know what? If you're a law of sacrifice person, you are not a victim. You're not. You have chosen to put other people ahead of yourself. And that choice has given several opportunities for you to continue to do that. And it's up to you to really break that cycle and to set boundaries, you know, like learn from the law of control, in setting boundaries and really owning what it is that you want and communicating those needs. And if you watch Kiki's episode, the Law of Sacrifice, episode 2 of the Universal Love Story, you'll see that Kiki really does, like at first it's like a foreign concept to her. And then it doesn't take her too long at all to really understand how important it is for her to set boundaries and to say no. So that is some deepening into the law of control and the law of sacrifice. And look, I am here to support you on your journey of healing. And when I say healing, I mean really coming like just into this love and harmony with yourself. And you know what? It's not always an easy process. Not everybody does that because healing can be really messy. It can be hard to really see yourself and to still love yourself and to do things differently. And as a love psychic and an illusion dismantler, I help people heal their hearts and reconnect with their souls. And sometimes my approach can be a little tough love. And it is always given with love. It's not from this gotcha type of perspective, but it's such a service because sometimes, and I know I'm like this too, like I cannot see what is blocking me sometimes. And it is such a pleasure for me to get to assist people in seeing what's blocking them and to support them in moving through all of the bullshit. And a lot of the bullshit is self-created bullshit, as you'll see when you get into episodes 3 and 4 of the Universal Love Story, which is the law of drama and the law of perfection. So if you have any questions or comments, please you can always send me an email. You can ask me in our Revolt for Love, the Love Revolution Facebook group. And if you're ready to really give yourself some personal attention with me, and I get that it can be scary and weird to do that, you can absolutely apply for a heart connection session with me. This is a free session. It's usually like between 30 minutes and an hour, kind of depending. And this is where we really like sift through your stuff, and I'll let you know very clearly and precisely what is blocking you from having the relationship that you want, what's blocking you from healing, and what's blocking you from having the love that you want on your terms. And if I feel that I can really serve you, I'll let you know about how I can do that past that session. So apply for a heart connection session with me, and I will be in touch with you about the laws of love and in giving you loving, insightful, sometimes tough love wisdom on how you can be a love renegade and break the laws of love, how you can heal and revolt for love, because healing is the most high vibe act of rebellion, and how you can just have just incredible love on your terms. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Lauren K. Wyatt, love psychic, illusion dismantler, and owner of Love Renegades.